model car fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and this week I'm going to feature a build here, and it's kind of an older build, but it's when this kit first came out. This is a 1971 Plymouth Duster 340. Being its second year in production, it's actually a really cool car, and I used to see lots of them around and never really gave them much thought. A-bodies were all over the place. The stars were always the B&E bodies, of course, and those are the ones I had studied the most. I was forced into learning about C-bodies because of my own Plymouth Fury wagon that many of you know and I've mentioned, and it's in my tour video. Growing up around those and learning about them and their options, and that car having a 383 and finding a bunch of them with 360s, which was the first year of the 360 in a C-body. They weren't available in that configuration. But because the 360 was available in 71, it did affect this car some. But interestingly, researching these and just trying to find more stuff out, the 340 was a very potent package in these with 275 horsepower in what is a 3,100 pound car. Was quite a package, and it would do 14 seconds in a quarter mile. Was available with 3-speed manual or 4-speed manual and automatic as well. And it was a pretty good car, and they sold fairly well at the time. And I thought it was a cool looking car, especially with these stripes and everything. But I remember the first time I seen a Demon, that was a pretty cool car. Love that one as well. And for this one, 1970, some of the differences here. There's not much kit-wise between the models for 70 and 71. The grill is different. But in 70, it was a sub-model because Plymouth was losing some of its small car market share, and they came out with the more sporty fastback for the Valiant. So technically 1970, it's a Plymouth Valiant Duster. And it had the Valiant emblem up on the fender, but the Valiant name was dropped for 71 and later. So they became Dusters, and we refer to all of them as Dusters, but there's a technicality there for the 70. And then also the 340 engine was going through a lot of changes. So, and they were mild because interestingly, the 71 and the 70 both share the same 275 horsepower rating, but a 7340 was 10.5 to 1 compression, and a 71 was 10.3 to 1 compression. And then the only visual thing you would see on the outside of it was the thermoquad carburetor was available in 71. The 70 used the Carter AVS. Now, under the air cleaner, you wouldn't see that in the model kit. You might. This one has a pretty nice carburetor. Matter of fact, this is a really nice kit. If you're a Mopar guy and you don't have this kit, shame on you. That's all I got to say. Even though it's AMT branded and some AMT kits are not up to par, this one is. And I'm not going to, say it's perfect. None of them are, but it's a great kit. But another thing with the 340s, 71 also started to use 360 parts. The heads were 360 heads instead of 340 heads. The exhaust manifolds were 360 manifolds instead of the 340 manifolds. Didn't quite flow as good as the 71s, but it kept the same rating. And pretty much similar performance. If you were driving one you really didn't know, it basically was something restorers have found out. The 71 360 heads that were used on the 340s, they kept the same 202 and 160 valves, but in the big B bodies, they had the 188 intake valves and smaller valves. So even though it had the same casting heads, they did do different valves in them. So there is a uniqueness there. And 72 340s, they kept the same 360 heads, but then they kept the smaller valves that the regular C bodies used instead of the bigger valves that the 71s used. And also for 72, and I was freshening up on some of these stats because I'm getting back up to speed to build my 72 version, which is why I had to refresh some of this stuff in my mind, because I wasn't the biggest A-body fan, even though I admire the cars, but the research wasn't fresh in my mind like in some other cars. Also, 72s were painted blue engines with orange air cleaners. 71 and 70 were the orange engines with the black air cleaners, which is what most people think of in the muscle car era, which is correct, but that's what Mopar started doing in 72. Also 72, they got the cast cranks, and the horsepower rating dropped, but it was mainly because of the net rating versus the gross rating. But Some of the things that I found interesting and didn't realize right away. I built this one box stock and right from reference materials and put the big 340 on here. 70, 71 had that big 340. I don't remember if 72 did. I think officially it was no, they stopped doing that. But none of the actual 340 cars had hood scoops. Unlike the Demons came with hood scoops as an option on their 340 models, but on the Duster 340, no hood scoops, even though you see a ton of them with scoops added. And the Duster Twister came with hood scoops, and that was a 318 car. And I think even the 6-cylinder was available in a Duster Twister. Now, when it comes to this AMT kit, I've seen a number of them where the turn signals are part of the grill there. And if you paint the amber in there like I did, you can see them. But some people skip that or don't realize that they're actually there. So if you count them and paint them, you can get the turn signals in there. But I've seen some that, oh, there's no turn signals on this car. No, they're there. It's just you don't quite see them or notice them. 72 does have this sharp tooth grill, as long as 71 does. There's a resin 70 grill. I've got a few of them. AFX and Scale did do them. Bandit Resins did do them. There's a number of people that did them. I believe you can get them from Hearts Parts now too. Not 100% sure of his catalog, but I think I have seen them there. And then when it comes to building this kit, these windows are kind of awkward because you glue them to the interior tub and slide it all in there and they can pop off easily. But when it comes to this kit, it's just a nice, detailed kit. I mean, look at that 340. Now, ironically, this is the only Duster I have finished, this 71 Duster 340. But I have two of those 340 motors and a couple of little Red Expresses. Numerous MPC Challengers have that 340 in it now. God, I must have bought at least 12 of these Duster 340 kits just for that motor. I've also started kit bashes where this engine compartment, this chassis, is under some more A bodies. I've got 68 and 69 resin bodies that I started fitting this engine and this chassis under. I mean, it's a beautiful chassis. It's just wonderful. Manual transmission, 8 3/4 rear end. Just some awesome, awesome parts. So while this is really the only one I've completed as far as a Duster body goes, I've got the Resin Demons, a couple of 71 and 72 Resin Demons that I bought this kit for. Geez, what else? At least 2 Demons, 3 or 4 Barracudas, the chassis for. Man, I've got at least probably 10 of these laying around. Just, and the motors for the 340 E-bodies, the 72 and later 340 E-bodies using this motor. So, my goodness. And then, of course, that 72 I pulled out that I hadn't finished. Only because, the research and trying to pick a color and trying to remember what I wanted to do. And ironically, I forgot that Hemi Orange was available in 72. But on Plymouth, they don't call it Hemi Orange. It's Tor Red. And when I was looking, I'm like, I don't want to do another red car. And it didn't click right away. And then I went, oh, wait, Tor Red is orange. It's not red. I'm like, okay, well, I'd have to order that paint. But just freshening up and getting into them. But you've got to have this kit. If it comes to Mopar A bodies, this is an awesome kit. So just a wonderful kit. And then even the AMT 71 Charger, that's another kit that's just awesome and great parts kit. And same thing, I've probably bought 10 or 12 of those over the years. They used to be everywhere and they used to be cheap. This one at least has been reissued again more recently. So it's out there again. Some of these decals were finicky and hard to get them to stick and off printed. I've had some with issues, but since I've had so many, grabbing another kit and trying those decals, and I ended up getting some that stick, some that are registered. So some of the older kits I've run into issues with the decals. And it's kind of funny, but it is what it is. But still a blessing to have this kit, and it's a wonderful kit. You can kind of see some of the white registering on the stripes there on the front, but whether or not that's silvering from the decal not laying down or white, I'm not really sure. I think it is the actual white. Just a wonderful kit, and you have to have built at least one of these. Real nice interior, just some real nice parts in it. But I'll continue on and we'll see what I pull out for next weekend. So up until then, thank you, and thanks for your subscriptions, your comments, your likes, and everything, and shares. Really do appreciate it. And all your comments. Love those comments. If you guys see me comment, I reply to all of them. Even if it's a simple thanks. Just really do appreciate it. So you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Saturday.